Holy crap, it's cold. Man, it's so cold I'm farting sleep. What's up, taters? Today we're going to be talking about alternating and how it can affect your accuracy. So stick around. Taters, before we get into the video, you know the drill. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, help me out this year. I'm trying to get to 1 billion subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, go down in the description below, hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, if you like what you see, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you can get everything that I'm putting out because Can Vandal's putting out. With that said, let's get to the video. What's up, taters? Can Vandal here. It's the year 2022, and the fact that you're here shows me you survived New Year's. Now, around New Year's, I, like a lot of other people, make New Year's resolutions. My New Year's resolutions this year is to once again fit into spandex. Now, perhaps some of you in the Slingshot community made some resolutions concerning target shooting. Some of you want to go from shooting a can down to shooting a quarter-size flipper. Now, if that was your resolution, this video is for you. In this video, I want to help you make that happen this year, but before we get into it, there's some things about target shooting you need to know. Just some simple truths. One thing you need to know is that the bigger the target, the more forgiving. Quite simply, there are things that you can get away with in shooting bigger targets that you can't in shooting smaller targets. And one of the biggest things that can hurt you when going from a can to a quarter-size target is alternating. Now you say, what in the world do you mean? We're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about 3 areas where alternating can hurt you and work against you when going from a can to a quarter-size target. Alright, one of the first areas I want to talk about that you want to avoid as far as alternating is alternating frame widths. You say, well, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the width from tip to tip on your frame. Now, a lot of you guys, just like me, have an extensive frame collection because we're all addicts. And one of the things you'll notice in a collection is that you'll have different frame widths. Now, here's a fact that some don't know. Different size frame widths will perform differently. Now, that's something you won't notice when you're shooting a bigger target. Because sometimes the differences are real subtle, but sometimes they're pretty drastic. But when you're going from a can to a quarter-size flipper, that's when you're going to see how different they shoot. Now, to prove this point, I did an experiment the other day. I went to the yard and I got 2 of my favorite frames. I got my Scout XT and my Scout LT, and they are basically, they're different sizes all the way around, but especially in the frame. The Scout LT has a frame width of 90 millimeters, whereas the XT has a frame width of 101.6 millimeters. A little bit of difference. What I did is I banded them both with the same band material, SimpleShot Premium Black, a 0.5, 12 to 20 taper, using the same kind of pouches. Everything was the same. I got the same distance from my target, which is about 10 meters, and basically I used the same anchor point and I used the same shot reference. And I put a paper target up, and I wanted to see how different they would be with the same variables. Now, I did this test 2 times, and in both instances, I got the same results. The more narrow frame hit higher. That's why I say when going from a can to a quarter-size target, alternating frames can work against you. It doesn't matter if you got the same band set, same anchor point, same shot references, same distance. It doesn't matter. Different size frame widths will perform differently. It's just a fact. So when you're going from a can to a quarter, that little difference in elevation can mean missing the whole target. This is not about saying one is better than the other. It's just understanding that even with the same variables as far as the bands, these will shoot differently. So pick one and stick with it. Alright, another area is alternating pouches. Now, it's been said a million times and it's worth repeating. A good release is paramount to accuracy. You gotta have a good release. So if there ever was an area where alternating can hurt you when going from a can to a quarter as far as targets, it's alternating pouches. You see, pouches come in different shapes, different sizes, and therefore they will react differently in your fingers. Now, when shooting a larger target, these small differences don't really make a difference. But when you're honing it down, when you're going from a can to a quarter-size target, the very small, insignificant things can mean the difference in hitting your target. Because remember, the smaller the target, the more unforgiving it can be. And the small things matter. Because now when you're shooting a smaller target, the slightest tweak here can mean a major difference downrange. It's the same rules that apply to hunting with the rifle. When I first started hunting, if you want to shoot a deer and it's vital, let's pick the heart area. You got an area about that big when they're close up. So it can be forgiving shooting close because, when I'm young and I'm learning how to shoot, there'd be some movement. And if my shot went up a little bit, it wouldn't be such a big deal. I could still hit in that area. But when you take that same game and back it up 200 yards, that area that you're trying to hit now, it looks like this now. Now the slightest little move, even in the trigger, can throw the shot off. That's why they tell you, you squeeze that trigger. Do not yank it because it'll throw your shot off. It's the same principle when shooting a slingshot. When you're shooting a smaller target, you've got to be more deliberate, more precise than if you were shooting a larger target. A larger target, again, is more forgiving. A smaller target is not. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, Tater? So this year, when you want to go from a can to a quarter, avoid switching around pouches. You can't make this stuff up. All right, and the last area that you need to avoid when going from a can to a quarter-size target is alternating latex. Now, if there ever was an area that we all like to experiment in, that is latex. There seems to be a different latex coming out every week. I mean, there's hundreds to choose from. And when you're shooting a bigger target, experimenting with different kinds of latex is totally fine. But here's a fact about latex that some don't know and some don't want to accept, but it's still true. Not all latex is the same. Now again, there's some people that disagree with that, and you have the right to be wrong. Now there have been plenty of tests to prove this fact. It's pretty substantiated. If you were to take 12 different brands of latex and you were to cut the same size band sets, same thickness, same everything, and shoot them over a chronograph, you're going to get different results. Why? Because not all latex is the same. Now, when you're shooting a bigger target, that don't really matter much. But when you are going from a can to a quarter-size target, that's when you're going to see that little difference can mean hitting that target or missing it. It's my advice to pick a latex and stick with it. When you're going from a can to a quarter-size target, you want to pick a latex that gives you consistent results. You want to pick one that is very predictable, has great cross-sectional thickness, the whole 9 yards. You want to know how it shoots. And switching from latex to latex, you're going to get a variety of results, and you don't want to do that. Pick one that you're comfortable with and stick with it. My choice is none other than SimpleShot Premium Black Latex. Now, SimpleShot is not paying me to say that. I'm not getting paid. Nathan's not taking me to dinner for saying that. This is my choice, and I choose SimpleShot Premium Black because it gives me the most consistent results of any latex that I have used. Now again, I'm not saying that you have to use SimpleShot Premium Black in order to hit small targets. What I'm saying is pick a latex that you're the most comfortable with, that you get the best results from. I don't care what it is, but stick with it because it's going to matter when you're going from a can to a quarter-size target. Alright taters, the whole idea of this is when you're shooting bigger targets, alternating frames and band sets, pouches and all this stuff, it doesn't really matter as much until you start going from a can to a quarter-size target. This is when it matters because when you're shooting a smaller target, smaller targets are unforgiving and the small things matter. So here's what I'm suggesting. Take all your frames, pick out a couple, and then box the rest of them up and send them to me. Alright, here's what I want to do. I want to issue a challenge. If you're wanting to go from a can to a quarter-size target, here's what I want you to do for the next 20 days. Just try it. Don't take my word for it. But you can be tearing the hide off of one of these if you'll try this for 20 days. Pick a frame, pick a band set, pick a pouch, pick a taper, pick a distance in the yard, go about 10 meters, and get you a target about this size right here, a quarter size target, hang it up, and for 20 days, shoot nothing but that. And watch, after 20 days, I guarantee you, if you are consistent, you're going to be tearing the hide off that quarter size target. Alright, well that's going to wrap this video up. I hope you learned something, and man, stick around, I got some more stuff coming, but until we meet again, be kind to each other. Get out there and bust some cans. We'll see you next time.